Hey everybody, new video series coming to the channel. Just wanted to kind of introduce it. It's going to be a little bit of a fun series. Got Eric, who is basically doing the build that Kijiji, or the truck that Kijiji made, and it's going to be a pretty cool little series. It's going to be something that he wants to go out and play with it. So it's going to be a truck he can go out, have fun with it, but he also wants to overland with it. So this is going to be a neat new series, everyone. I hope you enjoy it. Hey everybody, this is Eric.
Hey guys.
So we're gonna start with the build and how it came about. And before we go too much further, for our American viewers, we have to mention that Kijiji is basically like the Canadian version of Craigslist. So that kind of gives you an idea, because you're probably sitting there going, what the heck is a Kijiji? Anyways, now you know. So just a little bit of background on Eric and myself. Eric used to own a shop called Altitude Adjustments. He's been in the 4x4 community for a long time. He's built some really cool stuff. I used to work for him years ago. But Eric, what's some of your history in the 4x community?
Well, originally when I was probably, okay, I'm not going to date myself, a long time ago, young man, I worked at Modern Motors in Calgary. It was where I really got into this world. So probably 30 years ago. Modern Motors was originally the first Willys Jeep dealer in Calgary, like in the 50s.
Yeah.
So when I started there in the early 90s with Sonny, who had owned it for 20 or 30 years at that point. Yeah, I got the Jeep bug bad. I'm a full-size Chevy guy by heart, but the two of them, it's an even match. So from there, I was there about 8 or 9 years. Then Mark, a good friend of mine and in this world, off-road world, had Rocky Mountain Off-road in Red Deer. So I moved from Calgary to Red Deer. Spent a year in an apartment while my family was still in Calgary, and I was selling my house, and went there for about 3 years with him until he sold the company, and I parted ways with the new owners and started Altitude Adjustments, which was 7 or 8 years, I think, there.
Yeah.
So we've been down the add-a-leaf game to full rock crawl guy world, all of it. I mean, obviously.
Yeah,
we've been doing some fun things, right?
So, and that's actually where I met up with Eric years ago. I used to actually work with Eric at Altitude Adjustments, and that's where we...
Good times, man.
It was good times. It was good times.
Great customers and a lot of fun trucks.
So you've built a lot of cool rigs over the years.
I couldn't even count. I mean, and you're depending on your cool rig, because I've done some nice trucks with a leveling kit that just blew me away. They were such beautiful rides.
Absolutely.
But my creative passion is just to freak shit out.
And it's true. And he's done a little bit of everything from Jeeps to Toyotas.
Yeah. My 91 4Runner, which you'll see a picture wherever he's going to stick somewhere.
I'll put it in there.
That was one of my ultimate builds. I actually built my own coilovers out of regular Pro Comp shocks, and got a compliment from Mr. Ian Johnson when he was up here going, those are cool. And as far as I know, to this day, they're still in that truck.
That's awesome.
And that's got to be 15 years easy on that truck, so I'm sure they replaced the shocks maybe.
so there's a lot of history with Eric and building cool builds. So that's why when he mentioned, hey, I'm doing a new build, man, I wanted to see what he was doing, because...
Well, especially now too, because it's not just a big mud truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a rock crawler.
Exactly.
This truck's going to be multi.
Yeah.
I kind of want to make it almost a stealth crawler, but it's still a full daily driver.
Yeah.
But unless you really look underneath, somebody like one of you guys or us will walk by and go, whoa, wait,
there's
something going on under there that's not normal, right? But I want all the advantages I've learned over all these years. You know what makes this truck going to work well for me, but still be a good driver, so I can drive every day, enjoy it.
And that's what I love about Eric's builds. They look awesome, but they also have his brand of freak in them. Best way to put it.
I think my wife has called me 15 degrees off center for about 30 years. So
yep.
I think she's right.
So anyways, couple of pictures inserted in there with the with some of the trucks he's built over the years. Anyway, this is going to be fun, guys. I'm kind of happy to be a part of this. Thank you, Eric.
Oh, I love having you here, man. It's really cool.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to turn it over to Eric here in a little bit, and we're gonna start where this build idea came from, and then as the series progresses, you know, kind of from the ground up, basically, how Eric has built this truck and some of the different cool ideas that that he's going to put into it. All right, so with this build, it's pretty interesting, the truck that Kijiji built. So Eric, what was your plan with this and where did it start?
Well, I've always had a passion for a Chevy short box fleet side and always wanted to build one. Of all the crazy things I've built, never one. I ran across this truck on Kijiji probably three and a half years ago from an old boy up in, well, east of Edmonton. And I went up and had a look at it and bought it, of course, and drove it home. Unfortunately, this old boy had the same truck. He had the SS 350 truck, like a 91 or a 92 back in the day, and two-wheel drive, and he loved it and he sold it and he regretted it. Guilty, done that a few times. And he bought this one from his neighbor. So his neighbor had owned this truck brand new. It originally was a 1992 GMC C1500, so two-wheel drive short box. And she used it on their little hobby farm, small farm. Yeah. They towed a small horse trailer or whatever. Somewhere in 2015, she hit a deer on the highway. So when it hit the front end, it wiped out the grill. It come around, it hit this door, tagged the hood. This is actually still the same fender, a couple little dents in it from when that happened. And the insurance company said you have to, they're not going to redo it, whatever. You got to get it certified. So the old boy bought it from her, went to the wrecking yard, got a door, a hood, a grill. That's all it needed. Went and got it redone, certified, so he could drive it because he was going to rebuild this 350 SS truck he had. And he found out he had cancer. And he said, I doesn't know what he had for time. He just said, you know what, I'm going to sell it. So I went up there, met him, awesome guy. Assured him that I was going to do something with this truck that he would be proud of. And my goal was actually to lower it because I wanted to have a nice driver. These are beautiful trucks when they're lowered. So I had it for 3 years, and it was sitting outside this last year. And I have a Jeep that's built, and my wife loves it, so I made her a deal. I traded her Volkswagen for my Jeep. I was on the short end of that one. And she took me up on it. 12 hours later, the Volkswagen was going away to a new owner, and I had a fund. So I pulled this back up the side as the two-wheel drive, and I started driving it again every day, and I started collecting parts. And, well, I'll give you the rundown that Kijiji has got me so far. I went down to... Actually, I'll back up. I went and got the cab first, because originally this truck, the cab had rusty cab corners and rusty rockers. You know that's what these trucks do. I found a cab in Edmonton from a young man who was doing a conversion and then changed drive in the middle of it. In other words, he went to a Cummins build on something. I'm not sure what he did. He had this cab completely stripped out and ready to go for his build. No rust in the cab, no at all. So $300 later, it's in the back of the truck. There is a picture of that. Yes, I put the cab in the back of this truck. It barely fit. Drove home, started my collection. A few months later on Kijiji, I came across a guy south of us, hour and a half. He had a 2003 Super Duty F350 that he was driving home to his farm with his horse trailer on, and he hit an elk. So it went under the truck, bent the tire rod, and he is parting the truck out. I bought the Dana 60 front and matching rear 1 ton, I think it's 10.5 back there, for $450. Matching 373 gears, everything's great. Slotted rotors, brand new pads on the front. Needed a tire rod. Oh well, no big deal. Brought those home. And was thinking I was going to use those actually in something else, quite honestly, before I decided that I was going to do this coil spring radius arm because of the two-wheel drive frame. I've done a couple of solid axle leaf spring GMs over the years, well, several actually, but I always wanted the coil spring, so I decided at that point I wasn't going to go down in the weeds. I wanted to drive this truck every day, all year long as a daily, take it out, wheel it, take it out, do a lot of overlanding with it. So I'm trying to get myself that happy medium where it is a reasonable driver every day, which it's gonna be. It's going to be good for wheeling and go places that it really will go and be a little surprising to watch it go, but also be a great overlander, not too tall, carry all my gear, get me back to the fishing holes and fire pits with my buddies, and all the fun stuff we're always wanting to do, go see the world. So as I was going on Kijiji, I wound up finding a 92 2500 Chevy standard cab, whatever, truck that was 4-wheel drive, because I needed to get rid of the 2-wheel drive tranny, go to the 4-wheel drive tranny, TK setup. So I went and bought that from a fellow just north of us, about an hour. I think I paid $450 for that truck, got it home, pulled the tranny T case out, a few other things out of it, and sent it to the scrapper because I just didn't want any of the crap left over. But the following sequence happened a little while later. So I put that tranny T case in, which you'll see in some of the pictures, got this cab, which I had sitting on the floor. I painted it, sanded it down, painted the whole outside down to basically the rockers because I couldn't get under it when it was sitting on the floor. Put my whole back interior back inside of it, had swapped out of my old truck because it actually had a black cab and it was, like I said, rusty. So I swapped the whole interior onto it. Put the tranny T case in, put the cab on, put the box on. You'll see this in a bunch of the pictures. As I was finishing up putting the front end back together and getting ready to drive this, I wound up tripping onto a 92, which I'm going to say, I'm pretty sure it was a forestry truck or a fish and game truck, and it's south of us about 2 hours, that actually had an NV 4500 standard 5-speed with the 241 behind it. Body was completely shot. You will crack up laughing when you see the pictures of that heap. I drove the thing here, scary I made it.
So you didn't fall through the floor?
I didn't, but I could see the highway if I would have pulled the panel out that was blocking it off, and well, yeah, you'll see those pictures. Oh my god. Brought it home, pulled it in, basically pulled the complete drivetrain out of it, pulled the axles out of it. They're probably in the pictures that Jay took here. I got a differential set on the floor, 410s out of that truck, and a bunch of other things anyway, and scrapped that truck. So I actually had to take the truck back apart a little bit to swap that 5-speed in. For me, I just prefer that drivetrain for what I want to do with this truck. So now we're looking at the cab on, my factory box back on. That standard transmission and drivetrain is all in there. I am waiting for a JB Conversions 241 super short tail shaft kit, which I'm going to put in here hopefully in a few weeks when it shows up. It is going to be a 1350 flange yoke on the back, so it'll be a 1350 CV flange rear and 1350 CV flange front for drive lines. I used a 2005 and up, I guess it would be gas Super Duty 6-inch coil for this, because it's actually the exact same coil diameter, wire size and everything as the factory 2-wheel drive was. So it wound up going right into the factory buckets beautifully. So I built a radius arm mount for it to attach to the diff. It's actually bolted and welded to the diff. It was how I got it to set up. And then I built myself a set of radius arms. I've got metal cloak joints in all the arms, so super soft ride, nice flex. Went to the back end of this. I took 2 extra leaves out of the 3/4 ton because I had a heavier pack. I took 2 of the long ones and threw them in mine to give myself a little more spring. I have a canopy that goes on this with my sleeping arrangement in the back because I canopy camp right now. And I also have an outer rack for my kayaks that go on top of that, so I need a little bit of capacity in the back end. But as you'll see in future here, I did a shackle flip in the back and a block so I can keep the ride really nice. Like I said, I'm going to daily drive this thing, so I don't want to be bucked out of here. And I figured using all the old springs, which are in great shape, will give me a super soft ride because they're all broke in. Everything's nice. It should be comfy. So we'll know shortly, so I can get a drive shaft in it.
So as you can see, this is going to be a really unique build. It's going to be nice because it is going to be a daily driver. It's going to be something you can go have fun with, but at the same time he's going to use it for overlanding because he wants to really get into the overland part of it. So it's going to be an interesting build, and I really appreciate you guys kind of tuning in for this. It's going to get neat. We're going to plan the inaugural run for it. We're going to have some fun. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe, guys. This build is going to be pretty neat. It's going to be a very, very unique rig that's going to be pretty capable and do a lot of things, I think, that that'll surprise a lot of people.